Are you worried about today's dire financial situation?
Put simply, I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
The storms on Wall Street continued today after regulators seized the assets of Silicon Valley Bank, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis.
Do you worry you'll have enough to pay your mortgage, pay your children's college tuition, enough to retire?
I believe our banking system remains strong.
Regional banks in focus once again today as the market digests the fallout of the First Republic failure.
You have questions, we have answers. It's the Gold Standard with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Thank you for joining us on the Gold Standard Radio Show. Jennifer Horn, Ken Russo, we are back together again to talk about the ultimate in chaos assets.
The ultimate chaos asset. I wonder what that is. Ice cream?
Well, that's ice cream, yeah.
I actually had a private meeting with President Biden over the week, and I asked him, what's the ultimate crisis asset? And while he gained his composure and his senses to a degree, he said, vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, a little chocolate chip.
Yeah, Joey.
So exactly. Now, I was going to call
me Joey.
He called you Joey,
yeah.
Huh? Well, I guess everybody. I was going to call you Chaos Ken today.
Is the government still open?
I think, well, we don't know.
Okay.
It might be. They say that it's going to close down in steps, and I say, are we going to even notice they're gone? That's what I say.
Probably not.
I don't want to, because we are an America First program, so I don't want to discount that this impacts our military when the government's threatening a shutdown, and I do not like that, and I know you don't like either.
There's got to be millions of government employees. There's got to be millions.
Give them a break for a week.
And they have 87,000 more new IRS agents that are going to harass the little guy for their $600 transactions, but
yeah.
Let's just send billions overseas to launder some more money.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So I can tell this is going to be a really uplifting show today.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worked up today, Jen. I'm going to tell you right now. We're getting ready for the Wealth Summit on Saturday.
We are. I can't wait.
And the stock market has been a little bit of a feeding frenzy over the last little bit here, which is pretty comical.
Up, down. What the heck's going on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a bubble.
Yeah.
You know, and the question is that everybody should be listening here is how am I going to be when the bubble pops?
Yep. And you keep telling me that gold is about wealth protection. And I think that's really important because we're going to get into how we got here. But if you are just a person with two eyes and a brain, you realize that you're paying. I know.
Jen,
I know it's a lot
I know
to
the
ask.
people that are listening to us, you know, the conservative MAGA type people.
They got the brains.
And if the Trump campaign is listening, I ordered some of the St. Patrick's green MAGA hats.
We need those.
I need to get those right away if they could maybe put a speed up on the shipping.
We need a little extra oomph.
Yes.
But the point is that if you're paying attention, you know you're spending more and you know that your dollar isn't going as far, that your purchasing power has been impacted. And so today we're going to talk about how we can protect our wealth. How about that?
Yeah, wealth preservation versus wealth creation.
I love it.
Now, I'm not opposed to wealth creation.
No, we want that too.
At the right time, okay? And my contention right now is that we're at the end of a very long cycle of abnormally low interest rates and inflation and a bubble, inflated house prices, inflated stock market prices, you know, a shaky banking system. And the question is how long is that going to be able to stay intact before it all comes apart?
Is that a shaky banky?
Now, the one good part is they're going to attempt to try and keep the bubble inflated.
Right.
Do you have any idea on how they might want to try and keep the bubble inflated?
I think they're going to try to spend more money. They're going to try to come up with new projects so they can tell you that they're going to put your money into use.
Right.
What else? What am I missing? Anything else?
Let's save the world,
Save the
climate
world.
change,
That
sort of stuff, all these different programs. But yes, continued large deficit spending out of thin air. And why is that possible is because we're on a fiat system.
And why? Because we go back in time like we do at every moment in this show. We talk about when we were kind of put into this situation by Richard Nixon.
Do you think people are getting a little tired of Richard?
No, because I love it when he comes by. I love it. We used to play the real Richard Nixon, but
let me on.
We've got this guy. He just like we channel him, and he comes running into the studio. President Nixon, how you doing?
To the distinguished members of the panel, we are going to suspend the convertibility of the dollar into gold. We are going to allow fiat money to rule. We are going to print and spend until the whole system collapses.
You want some ice cream?
Bada bing, bada boom.
Do you want some ice cream, Mr. Nixon?
Yes. I'd rather a whiskey.
A whiskey, I bet.
But the point is, if you have unlimited money creation and you create these huge bubbles, okay, obviously our money's going to lose value. I was watching a Tucker Carlson video from December.
Yeah.
A very good lady that was on, and her first name was Stephanie, and I forget the last name. I apologize. If anybody wants her name, call the office. But they did a list of groceries. A list of groceries that in 1990 cost $19.83.
Okay.
Cost $44.40 in 2022 and literally $72.28 in 2023. So Bidenomics, no, folks, it's not working. This has been decades in the making. And listen, it's my contention that all of these mental patients that they call presidents and, Treasury secretaries and, everybody who's making these important decisions, they've just totally been reckless.
They're all in on it.
They've totally just abused the privilege of money creation. And now it's spiraling out of control. Now it's at a point where, maybe a few $1 billion 20, 30 years ago might have, okay, well, that'll stimulate things a little bit now. Now it's 2, 3, 4, 5 trillion at a time. And the question is do people realize how fake the economy really is and how fake the market really is and how these banks are just kind of being slow walked along and kept on life support from all these fake money creation programs? Who's going to pay for all of this? I mean, this isn't even our kids' problem. This is going to be probably 3 or 4 generations. They're never going to be able to recover from this. And it's almost as if our great leaders and everybody who's making decisions to win votes, it looks like they're just willing to do as much deficit spending as they possibly can and print and borrow as much money as humanly possible to just try and keep everything going until it doesn't go anymore.
Yeah, until you can't. We're gassed out.
And the question is when that happens, what's our financial system going to look like? What's our money going to look like? And the contention is, and I know we're kind of just babbling a little bit, but when that happens and this bubble bursts, what are you going to be left with? I mean, are you really comfortable? And I would ask you, leaving all of your money wrapped up in a banking system that's in that shape?
It scares me.
Wrapped up in a stock market that is artificially at another bubble, and all you hear on television is, oh, it's okay, it's not the same that it used to be, it's not another bubble, historically, it's not that expensive, the AI is going to be a big money generator for a lot of is this any different than the internet craze was, or the 4 horsemen, or the nifty 50, even back to the 60s. It's just another reason for people to have irrational exuberance, take it to a crazy limit, and it's because of all this fake money. And it's still sloshing around. The question is when is it going to end? Now, my contention is I'm not opposed to wealth creation at the right time. I'm okay with, doing some speculating.
Yeah, you got to do a little bit.
I've made a lot of money on stocks. I've made money on Bitcoin and all. That's great.
Right.
You better make sure that you're locking some of those gains in. And you better make sure that you're distancing yourself from these paper assets to a degree. Maybe you have an old 401k. Maybe you have an IRA. Maybe you have substantial savings at the bank, or maybe a CD, an annuity, or a money market. And these investment products are not insured by any FDIC.
That was what you really shocked me, because you think, I want to look for FDIC insurance, but there's not enough insurance to go around.
Besides our deposits, yes. I mean, that's supposedly insured up to a certain amount of $250,000. But when I get an email from the bank, it says right on the bottom of the email, investment products by banks are not FDIC insured.
You're right.
It says it right on it on the bottom of the email. So then people, they have no recourse. I don't know if their advisors are telling them these things. Probably not. But the point is, folks, and I know I'm on a soapbox again.
I love it, though.
Protect yourself. Diversify yourself. Distance yourself from what's coming. Nothing that they can print or nothing that they can spend is going to stop what's coming. They are going to do it and print into infinity until the whole system collapses, or our money is almost going to be worthless. Who knows what our money's going to buy? Either way, this is a very unhealthy situation, but you can still convert some of that unhealthy money, that fake money, into something that has stood the test of time, like gold. It's been money for thousands of years. We all know that it's going to be worth something. We all know that it's returned about 10% a year over the last 23 years, every single year, and this is while it's still being suppressed. So who knows, but if you want something that's going to hold your purchasing power and has stood the test of time, that's gold.
And it's outside of the system.
You could hold it, you can control it, and not to mention it's a private asset.
And what is private anymore? There's not a whole lot that is private. So if you are looking for gold, if you're looking to start out, if you want to take an old 401k, an old IRA, you want to convert a portion of that into gold, call our friends over at Midas Gold Group. If you're just starting out, you get some options about what might be right for you. They are America First Patriots, veteran owned, not a call center. 855-322-4653. And maybe you've worked with a gold buyer in the past. Switch it up. Midas Gold.
Yeah, maybe you're not happy. Maybe they put you into some products like we talked about before. They're flying
the golden
squirrel,
chipmunk.
from Canada or New Guinea, or there's a lot of tricks. But the point is if you deal with a veteran-owned, responsible, reliable, trustworthy, you're at least going to get a fair deal. And in this particular market, why wouldn't you listen to your options, especially if you're in a great position of strength, and make moves while you're in a position of strength?
And I think you're right. Look for these trends. Is it a time to create wealth? Is it a time to protect wealth? It looks like we are in a time to protect all of that money you've worked so hard to save up, that you want to leave for a legacy you want to be able to use during your retirement. Do it by putting some of your money into gold and precious metals from Midas Gold Group. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD, or you can text the word gold to 232425. Midas gets right back to you. I love that you can do face-to-face transactions with Midas. If you're in Phoenix, Arizona, stop in and see them. If you are in Thousand Oaks, California, stop in, see Ken. Do these transactions face-to-face. MidasGoldGroup.com. That's MidasGoldGroup.com, or 855-322-GOLD. I love it. Chaos Ken is coming back to bust the chaos.
Maybe Sensible Ken will come back in for the second half.
It is a Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Dr. Gorka here. You're listening to The Gold Standard with your hosts, Ken Russo from veteran-owned Midas Gold Group and Jennifer Horn. Owning private money in the form of physical gold and silver is perhaps more important than ever to your long-term financial security. As U.S. banks fail, the Biden administration sends hundreds of billions abroad while depleting our strategic oil reserves. However, the biggest financial threat may be coming from within: central bank digital currency. The patents have been filed and the big banks have released plans for implementation. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications, the end of cash, the end of financial privacy, big government able to see your every purchase. Could there be ties to social credit? Hear more commentary on the political and economic issues that affect your financial security right here on the Gold Standard. You can create your own Gold Standard with a call to Midas Gold Group, 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com.
Welcome back. It is a Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn back together again. Thank you all for joining us. And Ken, we are hanging out for the Wealth Summit, which is coming up on one of our radio affiliates in Los Angeles. And we want you to join in. You can tune in if you're locally in Los Angeles, or you can go online, am870theanswer.com.
The wonderful people of Arizona, I wish they would tune in. Where could they watch it online?
So here's what you can do. am870theanswer.com is where you can watch it. You can also see it on YouTube. It'll be streaming on Rumble as well. Just search for the Wealth Summit, or if you want to listen, you can download the AM870 The Answer app, and then you can listen on your schedule, but everything starts, if you want to hear it live, at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be together talking about why the time is now to protect your wealth, to protect your investments. There's so much chaos going on.
There is.
In the world. So let's go through some of the reasons why adding something, a tangible asset like gold, to your portfolio is the right thing to do at this moment.
Yeah, well, that's a relevant question for what we're going to be talking about. 8:70 a.m. Wealth Summit. The ultimate chaos asset, gold. We have to consider what's going on with the banks. The banks are drowning in unrealized losses.
Mm-hmm.
Our wonderful government convinced banks to put all of their deposits into low-yielding bonds, and now as the interest rates are higher, those bonds have lost a lot of value. And
so when the banks.
When you get a mass withdrawal from customers at banks or any financial institution or any kind of retirement account, the money's not there.
Mm-hmm.
As we know, it's a fractionalized system, and those financial institutions are insolvent. So that's the situation the banks are in. They're not healthy, and obviously it's just a matter of time before there's more problems with the banks. That's why our money at the banks is not safe.
Sure.
And many people don't realize when we deposit our money at the bank, it becomes the bank's property. All we have is a claim to it, okay? So that's a reason why to own gold, the banks. Second reason is a lot of these other countries like the BRICS are joining together and doing a lot of business outside of the dollar. We heard Putin talk with Tucker Carlson about that. And over the weekend, the United States passed out about 500 more sanctions against a lot of these countries that are supposedly helping Russia. This is really bad. The government is making a very bad mistake. But
is that weaponized? Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, they're convincing people to say, hey, listen, maybe my money in dollars is not safe.
Right.
It could be sanctioned, it could be frozen. And when you have a economic advisor like Jared Bernstein, who's the economic advisor to the White House, who's on record saying, well, maybe it would be better if the dollar wasn't the world reserve currency.
Wow.
What are we dealing with here? I mean, are these people that dumb, or are they doing it on purpose? But what's happening is we are sabotaging ourselves. And these other countries are running away from our debt. They're running away from our dollar, and they're running towards gold, which is very interesting, and also other tangible assets like oil. So another reason why the BRIC nations joining together and the dollar losing its world reserve currency status, another reason why you should be owning gold. And our government using our dollar as a weapon. We all know that our money is not a store of value, okay? We all know that a dollar from 23 years ago is now worth 55 cents. Okay?
Yeah.
We just went over the grocery list.
Give it to us again, the number for a grocery list, the same
list. In
list.
1990, groceries that cost $19.83 now cost $72.28.
And that was the Home Alone experiment. Remember that?
Yeah, but if you
Christmas?
looked at the price of gold in 1990 and you compare it today, it would have gone up just as much.
Going up significantly.
It held its purchasing power versus it costing you more dollars to buy those same groceries, okay?
Right.
So gold is a store of value. Our currency, our Federal Reserve note, is not, okay? Also, the financial health of the banking system and the markets itself is extremely dangerous. The risk is as high as it's ever been because these financial institutions are allowed to trade derivatives.
Right.
They attempt to rig the markets in a way to generate income. Eventually, it's going to blow up. That was one of the reasons why in 2008 we had a great financial crisis, is because these derivatives were all wrapped up in these different kind of subprime mortgages, and it blew up. The amount of derivatives today versus even in 2008 is remarkably larger. We're talking quadrillions of dollars worth of derivatives. And what's scary is they allow, like the 5 biggest banks, like Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, they allow them to trade all of these derivatives. So it's the largest banks that have the largest amount of deposits that have the most risk and are trading the most derivative. It's just a time bomb. That's another reason why you should own gold. Another reason why is privacy is very important.
Amen.
Privacy
Not much is
is
private
important
anymore.
Gold provides sovereignty. Gold will provide you financial freedom. Gold allows you to have that privacy of a tangible asset that you could hold and control, whether if it's liquid money or retirement money. Those are some of the basic reasons why people right now should be owning gold. I don't really care about, I don't even want to talk about the return on gold. How much money could I make on gold? It has nothing to do with that.
It's protective. You're going to probably make a little bit over time, but this is a way to protect the money that you have.
That'll all work out over time, but the main reason why people have it is because they're distancing themselves from what's coming, okay? They're giving themselves purchasing power outside of a sick, dying fiat system.
And let's be honest, a corrupt system that's being manipulated and not always in our best interest.
And it's on life support and supported by a whole bunch of more fake money. So eventually someone has to ask themselves, well, how could that continue forever? Well, it's not, folks, and that's what we're talking about here today. And when it doesn't, which could happen all of a sudden, you're going to want to have some protection. And that diversification, that wealth preservation is why right now it's so important to diversify. Don't have all of your assets wrapped up, connected to a sick system. Don't have all of your assets where we're headed towards a digital currency, which is another reason why people... I was just going
to bring that up.
Yeah, because my fear is that they're going to crash the system, or the system, something bad is going to happen, and then everyone is very desperate. We can't access our money. They limited the amount of money we can take out of the markets or the banks at any one time. And then the government says, well, we have an idea. Everything's going to be okay, but we're going to need to roll you into this digital system.
Right.
And then we're all stuck.
And then we're just numbers, and there's really no money. I mean, obviously our money's just paper at this point anyway, but then you also have to think about the power of government. So this only increases the power of government, the government oversight. If you're worried about your social media account getting stripped down, what can happen when the government has control over your bank account, over that currency that is supposed to be there for you? Can they lock it up?
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned they're using the dollar as a weapon.
Yeah.
That's using it as a weapon against our own citizens.
Absolutely.
We're not even
and
talking
it's a fear.
Right, about other countries. So these are all reasons why people should want privacy. It's all a reason that it's so important at this particular time, and it's going to become more important. Now, the problem is we don't know how long we're going to be able to move money around as we want. We don't know how long gold is even going to be available at a realistic price, or silver to own. So there is urgency to say, hey, listen, it's all great and dandy right now, and nobody's really worried about nothing. But when everybody's quiet and everybody's greedy, I start to get very, very nervous.
That something is coming.
Yes.
You better be ready.
So in my opinion, right now is a perfect time to say, hey, listen, what are my options to diversify? This is kind of where I'm at now. This is kind of what I'm worrying about. What do you suggest? These are the conversations that people should be having right now, because once it happens and once things start to avalanche, it's going to be very hard to contact your broker. It's going to be very hard to get in touch with your bank. It's going to be extremely hard to transfer assets. Now is the time, while everybody's not worried about it and everybody's partying, now's the time to make some moves.
Yeah, and this is all about safety. It's all about protection, about protecting the money you've worked hard to earn, about protecting your family and your legacy. And you can get that protection and that freedom from Midas Gold Group. Midas Gold Group is available right now to take your phone calls at 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD. They have 2 locations, so you can go in and do this face-to-face, which I love. You can go into Thousand Oaks. If you are in California, you can go into Phoenix, Arizona. If you are in the Phoenix area, go see our friends over at veteran-owned America First Patriots over at Midas Gold Group. 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD. You can also text the word GOLD to 232425. Midas gets right back to you. And Ken, you make that call this week because you don't want to be playing catch up. You want to be making sure that you are protected if and when the situation presents itself.
And come see us right across the street from the Deer Valley Airport in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Give us a call. That's a huge advantage where you can go and talk privately about gold.
I love
None
that.
of these other gold dealers want to do that. that tells you that we have to do business a certain way. And I would encourage people to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. We see your face. We know that we can trust you. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com. Thanks for joining us. It's a Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.